Welcome, everyone. The International Parking and Mobility Institute presents today's Learning Lab, Thinking Outside the Lines, How HONK and UC Davis are redefining campus parking, presented by HONK. My name is Tyler Perkins, and I'm the Communications Coordinator for IPMI. We thank you for joining us today, and as a reminder, the Learning Lab will be recorded and posted online to IPMI's YouTube channel within a few days. Everyone who is registered to this event will also receive a post-event email linking to the video once the recording is ready. Today's presentation will last 60 minutes with a Q&A at the end. If you have any questions at any point during the event, please feel free to submit them by simply clicking the Q&A button and asking your question there. We will get to as many questions as time allows. Now, I will hand it over to Kacey.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. Greatly appreciate your time. We are here to present Thinking Outside the Lines, how HONK and UC Davis are redefining campus parking. We have a great panel here today. I'm just kind of secondary to the other people who really got this whole program up and running, and we're really excited to share all of our thoughts with you. We've got Linda and myself and Erin and Mia, who's also from HONK, on the panel with us today. Here we go. All right, so this is the agenda that we are going to walk through. The first thing will be I'll give you a little bit of background on HONK. I'll keep it short and sweet. Then we're going to get to UC Davis campus and parking. We'll kind of walk through their solution, what they're doing there. Some really interesting novel parking operations coming out of UC Davis. Then we're going to do a little bit of an interview, UC Davis's experience and some lessons learned. And then at the end, we'll do a Q&A for everybody. All right, so just to give you a little bit of background on HONK, we've been up and running for 12 and a half years now, coming up, I guess, soon on 13. My goodness, it's been a long time. We simplify how the world pays for parking. So with flexible software-first technology, easy to run, easy to use, and really truly backed by a hands-on support from launch to day-to-day operations. One thing I always brag about when I'm talking about HONK is our team. We just have this way about really kind of everyone getting their hands super dirty and really digging in and supporting our customers every step of the way. I'm always really proud of that. About 50 million plus transactions processed. Our headquarters are in Baltimore. We've got about 10,000 plus locations. And then really sort of the idea of what we do, the crux of what we do is all these, anything having to do with parking payments. So you've got your daily parking manager, your permit manager, validation manager. Daily parking would be, the idea of using an app, a QR code, text to pay. Permit manager, so any style of permit, whether it be a week-long permit, a daily permit, which is actually something we do with UC Davis, or subscription-based permits, again, monthlies, validation manager, so merchant validations, promo codes. That's a very deep, amazing process that we work with validations. And then lastly, our SVP manager, which is HONK's version of reservations. Just to give you a little snapshot of some people that we work with, leading higher education institutions, colleges and universities across North America. We host thousands of events and we park millions of people every year through HONK. We love working with our higher ed. Honestly, when we first got into this business, it was very evident that obviously the students were able to launch into technology a lot quicker than some other people. So it was just an easy place for us to hang our hat. And over the last 12 years, we've really built out this vertical, and we're really proud of everyone that we work with. And I would say a huge chunk of what we've done and what we've built has been because of our universities and our colleges and how much they've given back to us in terms of feedback and growing and expanding our operations. So this is just a sampling of some of the people, and we're very proud to work with all these logos. All right, I am going to hand this over to Linda. She's going to give us some background on UC Davis and what has really transpired at UC Davis over the years. I know a lot of people on this call will have heard over the years, Perry famously talked about a lot of what was going on there, but it's novel and unique in terms of higher education and parking on campus. So take it away, Linda.
Thank you, Kacey. Appreciate it. So a lot of you may have heard this already, but certainly just to recap, we're not the biggest university, we're not the smallest. We're about 40,000 students, trending closer to 45,000 students these days. On top of that, we have another 10,000 or so staff and faculty coming to our campus, and our campus is sprawling. So the main campus is 7,000 acres, but we have thousands more acres spread over two counties. Actually, we are sandwiched in between San Francisco, California, and Sacramento, California, and we're basically at sea level and all flat. What that made possible starting in the 1960s is we were set up as a bicycle town. Our campus is so sprawling that it was very hard for students to get from one class to another on time. So they started bicycling. We were the first city in the United States to have bicycle lanes. And now basically every inch of our city and campus have bicycle lanes. Go Aggies. Thank you, Christy. I do want to correct the bottom left-hand corner. It says we average 2,300 bicycles a day. That's a zero off. We average 23,000 bicycles a day on campus.
Oh my God. That's a big zero.
Yeah, that's a big zero. So 10x that. And bikes or scooters, of course, have come in and taken a part of that share. But we thankfully have a really sustainable environment. But the problem is that we were growing so rapidly and our campus is so sprawling that everybody wanted to drive. And we faced a choice of either adding infrastructure, building more garages and getting into debt, or trying to find some way to adjust the campus. And that is why we switched to what we call the daily model or the daily decision model. So we're not unique in how many students we have, and we're not unique in how big our campus is per se. There's other big campuses, but we don't. Our sprawl is not buildable land. Our sprawl is actual acreage that is used for agricultural research, crop research, engineering research. We have the number one vet school in the nation. We have sheep barns and hog barns and pig barns. Oh, that's the same as hog barns. I'm sorry. We have a whole dairy farm. So we can't build on that land per se. That is not just a hold for parking lots as it is in other places. So we needed to find a way, and we were seeing congestion where people were circling for hours trying to find parking. We needed to find a way to adjust demand and not by building more parking infrastructure. So the daily decision model did that for us. We switched to that for a number of reasons. It was in response to not only this problem with demand, this problem with lack of buildable parking lot land that we had, but also the change in technology. As you know, we've gone remote, we've gone hybrid work schedules. Not everybody is coming every day. And we had a lot of people that were still driving in even when they didn't need to, or still we are in a quarter system buying quarterly permits when they didn't need to. So by going to a daily model, it actually saved the bulk of our drivers a lot of money, but it also convinced a lot of drivers that they don't always need to drive. If you live in our very flat town, even on the other side of town, that is at most a 15-minute bicycle ride because of our infrastructure. It's faster than driving a car to get to campus. But what would happen is the sunk cost fallacy says, I've already spent my couple $100 on this quarterly parking permit. I'm going to get my money's worth. It's a nice spring day, but I'm still going to drive. We took that incentive away, and instead they wake up and go, it's a nice spring day. I haven't spent any money. I'm going to ride my bike and get my exercise, and it's going to be fast. And we actually saw that. We saw demand drop. So we now average about 25% of our people coming to campus on any day are single occupant cars. The other 75% are coming by bus or bike or walking or scooter. And that certainly is a result of our change in infrastructure. But what that did is really shifted the demand and how we administer our parking business. Again, we average 10,000 parking permits per day, daily permit. Now we have another 1,000 to 2,000 that are coming to campus using their monthly permits. And then, of course, we have limited time zones, hourly zones, those types of things. But it is the volume we are doing on our app on a daily permit basis, I think far exceeds almost anyone else out there.
Question for you. Was there pushback when you first did this? Like, was there like a student revolt? Did they want their permits? Were they happy to get rid of them? Like, what was the feedback?
Definite pushback. And Aaron was here at the time. Perry's on. And
Oh,
Bernie,
Perry,
Of course he
Perry has
is.
joined us.
Of course he is. Hi, Perry.
Perry's in the conversation.
right. Everyone take a shot. We knew it would be said. Um, so it definite pushback. And Erin was here at the time. She can certainly speak to that a little bit more. But people a lot of times want convenience. And what this model did was, taking away that easy button for them. It did make it more inconvenient. We wanted them to make that difficult choice. And so there are some that went, cool, you are saving me money. I only come to campus 2 days a week now, or I only come to campus 1 day a month. You're saving me a ton of money. But there are others that said, oh, I would rather pay more if I don't have to click a button every day. And so there was a convenience thing and a convenience pushback from that, for sure.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we launched, we started with students first. We switched the students over to mandatory daily first, and then got them used to it a little bit. And then we shifted staff, opened it up for staff as an optional. Employees can still get a monthly permit, but out of these, thousands and thousands of staff members who are on campus any given day, we only are issuing about 800 monthly permits on average. So most staff and faculty have happily, in the end, switched over to the daily model. They're happier there. Like
Great.
Linda said, realize they're saving money. Yep.
Yeah.
Incredible. Okay, so I'm going to just sort of switch to this slide, which sort of talks about how HONK supports parking at UC Davis. I think I'm going to hand this one over to Mia because, again, like I said, she was really the hands-on woman get behind making this happen. This was a big process for everybody. We had to create a single sign-on, increasing the wallet adoption, driving adoption, and building out an event-ready operation. And it's, again, a real unique process here, how this all works. So take it away.
So yes, we came into UC Davis because there was a need that was identified more than almost 2 years ago now. I think we started planning in November of 2024 in terms of what this was going to look like. UC Davis, as you've all heard, had a very robust program that included their daily choice, but they also had a need for different groups of affiliates and non-affiliates to pay different rates. So daily choice really means daily choice in terms of what you actually pay is dependent on your affiliation to the university. So we were able to, with a ton of planning and group support, we were able to plan out a really robust system that allows users to log in using a single sign-on, using their own internal sort of CAS login system that identifies what type of affiliate you are, and then directs you, or you get directed to the appropriate rate type for your affiliation. And this goes all the way down to whether or not you are in or outside of contract with the unions at the university. And we'll show in a couple seconds about what that actually looks like to the user. Oh, it's okay. You don't need to see my face. Look at this screen.
Oh, JJ's being nice. He wants to see Mia's face.
Increasing digital wallet adoption, one of the reasons why. I don't want to speak for Linda and Perry and Aaron, but one of the reasons why they chose to bring us on was the availability of parking payments that HONK offers. Some of our other competitors do not allow for digital wallets to be used. And what we've noticed is in coming onto campus is like, I haven't looked at the latest numbers, but it's somewhere around 50 to 60% of users are actually using, if not higher, are using digital wallets like Apple Pay and Google Pay, as opposed to manually adding a credit card into the app or using the guest checkout. They can also use, obviously, the digital wallets in the guest checkout as well. Driving adoption and the rollout strategy was absolutely key. This is still ongoing. Absolutely. When we come in as either a secondary or tertiary sort of member of the squad, we have our work cut out for us in terms of moving people over. So there was a very coordinated attempt by both us as well as UC Davis. Their comms team was fantastic in terms of letting people know what the benefits of HONK are and why they actually brought us onto campus. There was a whole communication strategy around this. We have obviously developed signage around it so people can see their options when they actually pull into their spot and have a choice. So choice really does prevail across UC Davis. And it's always a challenge to pull somebody away from a current provider. Like sometimes people just do what they know. So we wanted to give them the best opportunity to have the easiest sort of flow if they wanted it. And we're still working at that, which is great. And then building an event ready operation that was identified sort of midway down the implementation path. It was sort of discovered that our event system, our event rate system is really easy to use and was just able to be plugged in.
Sorry.
We're able to set event rates well in advance, like years in advance if we want to. If you know the schedule of your events, you can actually plug them into all of the zones whenever you need to. We can bulk upload them for you. Very easy to use, and it just automatically overtakes the regular rates that are offered on a daily basis and turns on when you tell it to turn on and turns off when you tell it to turn off. So there's no more scrambling around on a Saturday morning before a football game, changing your rates during an event.
Great. I'm sorry you can't see, you couldn't see me there. Can you? Oh, yeah, it's weird. I don't know. All right. So we've got some questions that we wanted to go through here. I'm going to get the team talking about these. So UC Davis has moved away from long-term permits like we've discussed. You've got daily choice. I actually love that term. People pay different daily rates based on where they park, obviously, and their role on campus. So like Mia was explaining how we did the single sign-on. So it's based on your role and where you park. With that in mind, why don't you guys walk us through what day-to-day parking looks like at UC Davis now? I think maybe even from the Parker perspective.
Sure. So real quick, our parking varies. We don't vary the rate by the affiliate status. We vary where they're allowed to park by affiliate status. So for example, and then of course the prices follow that. And that leads to some problems that HONK has helped us solve. So let me explain that a little bit. For example, if our closest in lots or our most, closest to the core lots are our A lots, those are reserved for staff and faculty. And the way we used to check that was by email address. And just like the old days when you have physical hang tags, right, or paper permits, people would love to pass those around. And we found with other, unfortunately, some other apps, people were happy to pass their email address around, sort of like your Netflix login. Oh, let's all share it. And students that aren't supposed to be parking in close could go ahead and use their professor's email address or something, I don't know, and park in close. And so we were having a real problem in locking that down and trying to prevent those things. We also have, for example, campus residents. We don't want our campus residents to bring a car. Again, you're on campus very close to most amenities in a flat sea level town. Please walk or ride a bike, don't bring a car. Therefore, you campus residents will pay the visitor rate, what is the equivalent of the visitor or non-affiliate rate. It's a non-discounted rate for parking. It's very expensive. Some people don't like that answer. They want to bring a car and they want it to pay cheap. So they will borrow credentials, if you will. So HONK switched us over to a system that made it much more difficult. So day-to-day parking, and Erin could tell you a little bit, I think most of you have experienced this or may still be living through this, of how it used to be. Erin?
The olden days, the before times. Um,
90s. I'm obsessed with the 90s right now because of the love story, JFK's thing.
yes,
But the 90s right
yes.
now, so we can just talk about those olden days.
Okay. They're olden now too, which is the sad part because I'm even older than that. Um, so yeah, before virtual permits, before daily choice, we had a lot of the same, issues that we were kind of dealing with, as most universities do. Demand would have these peaks and valleys at the starts of the quarters, the start of the month. We would have lines literally out the door to the parking structure. At the start of each quarter, people lined up to buy their hang tag permit. Um, you know, um, we spent a lot of time managing permits, managing physical permits, both the ordering of them, the inventory of them, the issuing of them, mailing them out to people. Um, and we had a lot more cash handling than we do now. When we switched to the virtual permits, when all these daily permits go through the apps, um, you know, in-person permit purchases dropped down to practically nothing. We have very little in-person traffic to the office anymore. Um, and we don't have the cash handling that we used to have. We used to have a whole room dedicated to permit, money reconciliation, bill counters, coin counters, the safe, the armored car transport, all of that. Um, and got rid of all of that. We do very little cash business anymore. Um, no longer need to manage change funds, things like that. So, this move to virtual and permits was a huge change for us. Saved a bunch of money on permit orders. I don't know if other universities had orders like ours. We'd spend over $50,000 a year ordering physical permits that we got rid of. Um, you know, Cash in the lane for event permit sales, which we got rid of, which was huge and wonderful. Being able to use the parking in the apps has been a game changer for events. Um, so yeah, that's about
Yeah.
it.
So, sorry. And what does life look like now? As I mentioned, we had congestion. So before we switched to this model and virtual, using app-based parking, people would drive in and we did not have enough parking to meet demand. So people would
Yeah.
circle for an hour or two, they would miss their class, they would go home, they'd be angry. I paid, a couple $100 for this parking permit and I can't find a spot, right?
We
And
hear
we're
that a
like,
lot, by the
yeah,
way, from a
yeah,
lot of our
Yeah.
different, which is why I think this session today is important for any
Yeah.
of our any of the universities that are listening in.
yeah,
We really hear that a lot, that there's just not enough parking
Yeah.
and these
We were
permits,
using, yeah.
especially since obviously what we know what happened 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, six, yeah, oh, good God, good Lord. But life changed that day, and so people's schedules are different, and you're coming on campus at different, right? Like
Yes.
you're not there every day, so that spot, it's taking up a spot, like technically.
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So switching to the daily model did solve that. For the most part, students coming in now, it did shift behavior. People coming in now can usually find a spot on their first pass, if not maybe second, but within minutes of coming in, they can find a spot where they need to be and get to class
Yeah.
on time. So really did
Yeah.
shift demand and removed the need for us to build new infrastructure. It also severely cut our revenue, right? We're not overselling our lots anymore. We have to much more tightly manage and be very productive with our permit sales, right? I like it. My favorite analogy is it's like we're holding a bake sale every single day. We are out there. You've got to sell spots and sell permits and have a really efficient, reliable app, an easy app that is up and running so that people can pay and get their parking. Otherwise, this model will not work. And so Honk has been very helpful for us in that way.
Great.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to talk here. Before Honk came into the picture, events can be very hard to manage. We know we've obviously solved for all your problems. I want you to talk a little bit how you've handled event parking before, when it came to rates. Obviously, setting rates ahead of time, coordinating teams, managing things manually. What did that process look like, day to day? And
So
I'm just going to leave this one here because this sort of is a helpful thing. And yeah.
Yeah. So, prior to bringing Honka on, even in the parking apps that we were using, we would have to manually update the rate the day of the event, turn on event rates, and then leave it on for the event, and then turn off event rates when the event was over manually, whether that was weekend or, um, after hours. Um, with the switch to Honk, we've been able to set those in advance, which has been just a huge help for our team. If you don't set your alarm, you forget to do it, and then everybody's calling, why are these rates here? It was not good. So that's been a big deal for us. Before apps, obviously we were selling permits in the lane, we had physical permits. That was a lot more staffing, a lot more work. The promo codes that we've brought on with Honk have been instrumental as well. The ability to customize and kind of set the parameters for the time frames, the pricing, it's been very flexible. And so the promo codes have been a really huge benefit to the events as well. We're using them. We started with using them at the Aggie Square Garage, which has been a challenge, that whole thing. But the solutions that we've been able to come up with through the Honk app have been very flexible, very customizable, I guess, and have met our needs really well. And we're using it more and more on the main campus now. And with really good success, it's taken a lot of the manual processing off of our team. We hope to move to more of it as we learn more about what it does.
Mia,
So,
why don't you
looking forward to
walk
that.
us through this slide just to kind of give an idea?
Mute.
Oh, are you not able to hear me
There's-
yet? Hold on. The problem is if I want I want to mute so that it picks your face, but it's gonna mute the whole thing. So yeah. Okay, go ahead.
The our event rate solution. Oh, they would like
to unmute. Yeah. No, you mute. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear her?
Can you hear me now? Thumbs up. Great. Our event rate solution is extremely robust. It allows you to set as many event rates as you like to. As I said, very far in advance. You set the start time, the end time, and the rate that you would like to charge. It's also flexible in that you can allow a user who has come in before the event to either use their time into the event if you want to do that and be very nice about it, or you can actually not allow them to use their time through the event and it cuts their time off if you want to choose to do that. So that either they need to leave or purchase the event rate after that. The event rate also, again, turns off when you tell it to turn off, when it expires. It follows all the same rules that we have in our system in terms of it can accommodate, a flat rate, a certain amount of time, a certain amount of hours, or it can be also a rate between certain dates. That's really user friendly. There's nothing that you need to do. You sort of set it and forget it. And it's like UC Davis, for example, has probably 60 or 70 zones that these rates are available in. They're not all available at all at the same time, but we do have a really amazing copy and paste function that allows you to copy a single rate. So you don't have to sort of reinvent the wheel. It allows you to copy a rate to multiple zones with one click. So you can make it once in a single zone, and then you can distribute it out to as many other locations as you would like. And then you can actually go in and edit as you see fit. If the price needs to change in different locations or the name needs to change, you can totally do that as well. Everything is very customizable on that way.
All right. Can you hear me now? Just make sure. Tyler, you're good? All right. All right. So I want to talk SSO. What we show here, people are often really comfortable sharing things like their streaming services with one another, although I think they're trying to shut that down now, your logins, but you're much less likely to share your credentials that are tied to something more personal or secure, like your campus or banking access. So what I really want to get into a little bit is the SSO experience, what it looks like at UC Davis. We touched on it, but I really want to do sort of a deeper dive into that, how the shift has helped reduce account sharing, and while still keeping things easy for people to park their cars, because obviously that's what we all like to do quickly and easily. So if someone, maybe Linda or Aaron, could take a stab at this piece.
Sure. So I alluded to it before, because we use email address to identify access levels, and access levels determine payment levels. We'd had some issues with people borrowing email addresses, because what does that cost you? Lend your email, maybe your app password for that one app type of thing. And then all your friends, even if they're supposed to pay, $10 a day, can now just pay $5 a day, and you can lend that out to 10 of your friends. Unfortunately, we saw that happening, but switching everybody to HONK has forced them, all right, you want to lend out your credentials. Well, now you're lending out your CAS login ID. And that CAS login is tied to your financial aid package, your grades, right? Your class registration system. It's all single sign-on. And suddenly they're less willing to share those credentials. You could lose your money, even your food, right? If you want to go get your food at the dining commons, it's tied to that login. So suddenly they're less willing to do that. So by tying into our campus-wide single sign-on system, which is obviously far more secure, people are far less willing to share those credentials between friends. So before, when we saw the old school Netflix, sure, use my sign-on to watch your shows. And that was all you were risking, is maybe they could see the shows you were seeing. Right now, you're sharing basically the equivalent of, as Kacey said, your banking sign-on. Oh, sure, here's my banking sign-on for Bank of America or Wells Fargo or Citicorp. You're not going to give that out, and that's exactly what was seen. So HONK was able to find a way to redirect the access. When you log in, you choose your parking. Once you select your parking, it rolls you over to our single sign-on system. You log in with those credentials, and it automatically identifies at what level you are entitled to purchase a permit. It identifies if you are an employee, right, if you are a student, or if you are a visitor, and then proceeds with the purchase from them. So that really locked things down, cut down on a lot of fraud for us. We're super grateful. They were the first and only ones able to figure that out. And I think that's incredibly valuable going forward, enabling to ensure that you're getting the right people purchasing in the right slots.
We also added, when Linda brought it up, that people were sharing it in previous systems, that they were sharing their logins. We enabled a feature that only allows that login to be active on a single device. So if they do share their login, they actually are losing their own login to the system. So they're basically giving away their own parking, if that's the case.
Okay.
So I could take this one. Yeah. This is what the system looks like to the user when they come to campus and they decide where they're parking in any one of the zones at UC Davis are sort of bulk level umbrella type of zones, like in the C zone, and they're based on proximity and sort of favorite areas, I would say. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but there could be 20 or 30 or more individual parking lots in any one C zone, but C zone just sort of relates to the prices and the access that people can use with it. So if they notice that they're in a C zone, they'll launch the app and look for the zone ID that's on all the signage. That is, let's say, call it UCDC. And that signifies C zone. So the second screenshot here shows the sort of choices that they're given upon first entry into the app. Are you a student? Just identify yourself as what type of affiliation you have. Are you a student? Are you an employee that is within contract? Are you an employee outside of contract? Or are you a visitor? And if you're a visitor, it actually doesn't go to the CAS login. You just are sent to a location that, or a purchase page that has more expensive parking than the rest of the people. So you don't have to obviously log in, or you don't have to be an affiliate. And this program seems to work really, really nicely for everyone, because when you do choose that you are a student, you are then, or a faculty, you are hit only one time from the first time with your UC Davis login. You proceed to enter your username and password. And then it's sort of like a gate and a key. The CAS login is the gate, your password is the key, and your affiliation is the key. So if you've chose that you were a student and you're actually designated as an employee, you won't be allowed into the student rates. You will be denied access, and bells and whistles go off. If you are a student and you log in as your student and you're designated as a student, you go through to the student price that is your daily price, which is somewhere between, $6, $8, $12, depending on the location. It's just that simple. Once you've done this once, you will have access to all of the student locations, so you don't have to log in every single time. You just select that you're a student, and it'll go directly to the purchase page again.
All right. So, we're handing this one over to Linda. UC Davis. UC Davis works with several different labor unions across campus, each with its own needs, rules, and expectations when it comes to parking cars. Before we talk about the solution, can you walk us through the different labor groups and how their needs vary?
Oh, yes. So this was quite a tricky one for us. So we needed to increase rates. But of course, there's all kinds of rules around when and how we can increase rates. And, we have to announce to each labor group and give them time to contest the rates and perhaps discuss them. And we have a lot of labor groups that are in different phases of their contracts. And some are currently negotiating contracts, some have renewed contracts. And we, per legal, could not raise rates to those groups that are not, that are currently discussing their contracts, right, negotiating them, but we could raise them to those that have completed and signed contracts. So that meant we suddenly had subsections of our staff and faculty, those 10,000 people, besides the students, they're all good. Staff and faculty, we have, if you are CX's customer service labor group, TX's might be the technical labor group, right? And they might be this group might be in contract, that one's out of contract. Well, we can raise rates here, not raise rates there. And HONK was able to go through and figure out how to program that, again, using that single sign-on methodology to further identify them and go, okay, you're in these labor groups that are in contract, we can raise rates there. Versus you are not in the labor groups and you're currently in contract, your rates will stay here. And as contracts have completed, we then adjust and shift them in to the appropriate group. It's very complex. It is a constant moving target as groups. We have a lot of labor groups going in and out of contract, or contracts expire, and it's, there's a lot that we have to keep track, and they've been very nimble and able to adjust those groups in and out of represented or non-represented or in contract or out of contract parking groups. And so the level of complexity, we already had a complex system, right, with our various affiliate statuses, but adding to that with the labor groups, we were, oh Lord, how are we going to deal with this? And HONK absolutely stepped up and was able to find a way to make that work for us.
Wizards. We're wizards, is what you're saying.
It felt like it.
Magic wizards. Yes, of course.
Yes, it all happens automatically.
Okay, this question for me, it sort of goes back to what I said at the beginning, just like how wonderful the team is, and I think a lot of planning and a lot of thought and a lot of meetings. And Linda, I know you had boards and charts. You said you just recently removed them from your office, but there was so many moving parts to getting this up and running, and then there was things that came up along the way that we weren't expecting, and new garages and all kinds of things that sort of like really prolonged some of the process, but it was just a real team effort. So I want to walk through the rollout process, because I think that's really important in general when you're adding a new technology or you're switching, a vendor or whatever it looks like. The rollout and the planning process is super important. So what tools, approaches, what made this go smoothly, and how did we get there? So I will again hand this over to you.
Oh goodness, Mia, you first or me first?
I guess I can take it. We started off with, and again, as Kacey mentioned, this was a very robust and intense rollout, I would say, but it was well worth the time and effort that everybody gave it. We started off with a kickoff, getting discovery, finding maps, really investing the time to know how the system works today and how open to change they were going forward as well. So sometimes some people just want everything to stay the same and just plug in a new technology. And sometimes that will have different kind of risks and rewards from an organization that has a little bit of capacity for change to make everything better along the way while they're changing it. So the kickoff starts with discovery. Typically, our processes go into implementation in terms of planning, and tons of planning. Goes into designing where the zones are going to be, what they look like. We had to design what the SSO looked like and do a whole bunch of testing around that, and actually built the system around the needs. And it took a little bit of time for us to even understand what affiliations looked like and what those credentials looked like at UC Davis. And so we went through many iterations of naming conventions even for zones, and we, as Linda affectionately calls them, zomenclature. There was a lot of discussion around what's the best use of that zomenclature. So tons of time and effort went into actually making this a thoughtful process and a thoughtful solution along the way, so that we wouldn't have to go back and redo stuff, which happens in many occasions. I mentioned briefly before about the marketing and communication strategy. UC Davis has a great team of marketers and communicators that were very invested in the process and came into the process when they were needed, and were very able to use the systems that they had. They used message boards and emails and email lists at getting people ready for the oncoming change. And they changed their website, made a side-by-side comparison of both options for people. They were really into the benefits of all of this and explaining those benefits to the users. I give Linda and Aaron all the credit in the world for the testing piece. It's sort of, it all happens in concert, but we spent, I don't know, probably more than a month in testing. And Linda created an entire program around, they got student testers, they got faculty testers. It was basically live. It was almost like a soft launch, but everybody who tested filled out like a sort of rating sheet, and we were able to accommodate all of the feedback and ingest all of the feedback. We had gorgeous graphs around like the people's feedback around this and what their approval rating was of it. And that was the magic to me, because I had never seen anything like it. And it was great. We then went into training, and we'll talk about this in a second, but it really helps to have not only a project sponsor, but a project owner who's going to have their fingers in the pie and own the project going forward. We are with our clients every step of the way, but we're not necessarily a plug and play solution that we're just going to drop it in your lap and run away. But we do need, on the client side as well, somebody who's invested in owning it and maintaining and running the system going forward. And that was very apparent in Aaron and Jessica, who live and breathe this stuff every single day, and they manage it with our training and our help, obviously, like experts. And then during launch, it was all about the communications and maintenance, and we still have regular meetings. They're far less frequent now, but we're always available for questions and little brush ups and all that kind of fun stuff.
I want to mention one other thing that happened during this process, which was that Linda got people to feedback on the app. And that was for us as a company incredibly helpful. You know, they did a deep, you know, we're in it all day, every day, right? We have our app and we know what's in there and what people are using and whatever else. But their team went and did a deep dive and found some things that we were able to fix, some things that we could be doing better, some UI. Like there was just a lot that it was a real team effort. But what we got out of it in the end also was some amazing changes to the app, and we were super open to that. So it was a group effort to make this process super smooth, and everybody benefited in the end.
They're like real focus
Yeah.
for us.
All right, I'm gonna have this as the last question, because I want to leave a little bit of time. There's some Q&A, and I want to leave time for that. But if another campus were preparing for this change, what would you share? What was the biggest impact on your team operations? You know, if somebody got inspired from today and decided they wanted to go for it tomorrow, what do you think you'd share on that?
Um, if I don't know who you're asking, but if I may go.
I'm going to Linda or Aaron, one of you two. Yeah.
So definitely, you need to allocate resources to make this project a success. So we did on our side. Of course, the resources, their involvement fluctuated depending on the part of the project. So it was great working with HONK and Mia, you know, and we identified at a very high level the whole project arc, right? We had, as Mia alluded to, we had sort of the, you know, you start with the first phase, the negotiations and planning, then you go to a kickoff phase, right, where you start working out scope and deliverables. But you have to actually have people go sit down and work with your vendor partner to map out the scope and kind of come up with the timeline. You have to have resources. The HONK can't do it for us. They don't have access to our systems. They don't know what our timing demands are. They don't know what our labor demands are. And so we had a full sketch out of the plan from start to finish, which we, for the most part, followed. You know, as I said, some things pop up and vary, but, you know, we went from the scoping into implementation. There's a lot of sub-steps in implementation, but we had resources allocated for implementation. We had some developers in our IT team for that. Aaron and Jessica, who's not with us today, but they're sort of my day-to-day customer service team that are in using the app type of thing. So bringing those in. And then for the testing phase, again, going and recruiting the resources necessary to do that. I used Microsoft Projects, which is great. I'm able to create a daily poll, which people could go do on online. Takes them a few minutes. All their poll answers are automatically uploaded into an Excel spreadsheet, which I could then send right over to Mia and team, and they responded to the poll feedback as they implemented. So if we saw defects, those defects were brought up on the poll. Mia and team could respond and fix the defect. You know, any UI UX comments and feedback, those came up on those, we were able to address. And then, yes, moving into the marketing, again, bringing in the marketing team, the marketing resources, identifying what resources we have. Do we want to use social media? Do we want to use mail lists? Do we want to use web? Or as we did, a combination of all of those. And then, of course, training and then the ongoing support. So all of it was mapped out start to finish. And I think on both sides, we did a really good job of allocating, not just having the plan, but then allocating the resources to make the plan actually happen. Otherwise, a plan just dangles in the air and nothing happens.
Fantastic.
I would say from our perspective too, like, you know, I've been with this department and with the university parking for a really long time, many years. And, you know, one thing that we found very valuable was, you know what you need to accomplish, you know what you want to do, but being open to how you get there. You know, HONK offers different solutions than other vendors that we'd worked with, different ways of accomplishing the things that we wanted to do. And by being open to hearing some of these different ideas and different processes, we've actually arrived at better solutions than we thought we were going to get. You know, just kind of using their expertise, you know, to kind of bring us a better solution. Staying flexible was a big part of what I think led to the success of the launch, personally.
Flexible is a good one. Yes, you just don't know what's going to come up along the way, right? So you have to
Exactly.
be willing to pivot and change and grow and learn and all those things that come out of these massive launches that happen.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I think we're done with the deck, and I'm going to move to some Q&A. There are some questions. Luke has lots of questions, which I love. So if anybody has any additional questions, we have about 10 minutes that we can answer for you now. But please put them in that Q&A section that's in, you should find that somewhere here. Okay, so Luke wants to know if students use only credit cards. Do employees have payroll deductions or just credit card pre-tax commute cards?
So HONK has the ability to accept credit cards, but also Apple Pay and Google Pay. So actually, the majority of our users use Apple Pay by far is our largest segment, followed by Google Pay. Credit cards are not super distant, but a third option. They really like having that Apple Pay or Google Pay, Google Store option. It's very popular.
70%. We just pulled it up. 70%. Yeah.
70%. Yes. Okay. We do have a pre-tax program. But the way it works is the pre-tax program, you go in, you allocate funds, and those funds get loaded onto a pre-tax Visa card that is sent to you. They can then enter that Visa card into the app like they would any normal card. It is blocked. It is limited by merchant coding, so it can only be used for parking. And so they just load in that Visa card as they would with anyone, and then they're able to pay for parking using their pre-tax funds.
All right, John Mark Lucas has a question, which is, what park system do you use? Are you gated, and how does enforcement work on campus?
We are not gated, except we have one garage. It's sort of remote. It's in Sacramento at our health system, maybe 20 miles away. And so there is a system in place there, but for the most 99% of our campus, we are not gated. That's part of our complexity. So our enforcement, we are LPR based, and we have a great team that drives their beats and goes through does LPR scans and enforces that way, scanning. Hopefully our goal is always to drive compliance. We don't want to give out tickets if we don't have to, citations, but that's how it does. So unfortunately, we have found we only have 3 garages. The majority of our parking is surface lots. Gates are very hard. And again, with the sprawl we mentioned earlier, it's very hard for us to pull power and internet to be able to gate or monitor all those things. And again, we are largely a rural agricultural parking. There might be 2 spots at a greenhouse and 2 spots near a hog barn and 3 spots at the sheep barns types of things. So obviously gating isn't great.
The hog barn is killing me. It's come up like 4 times. I'm obsessed with the hog barn. How do you discourage, this is a really good question. How do you discourage students and employees from saying they are visitors and not using SSO?
That's actually, go ahead. Really easy at our campus.
I was going to say, in our case, it's really easy. Pricing. The visitor price is $18 a day, and the students and employees pay a much lower affiliate rate. Students pay $5 a day for most of the parking they're eligible for. So cost, it's huge.
And do you charge a fee for event parking?
We do. We do a lot of that through the apps. Affiliates get their usual affiliate rate through the single sign-on login. If they log in their normal way, they would get the cost that they would just to go to work or class, and visitors pay the visitor rate.
All right. I think we've hit all the questions. Does anybody have any other questions that's on here? Just giving it a last up. That one more? Nope. We did that one. All right. I don't think there's any other questions for now. I'll just close it out, and you guys can have your final words as well. But thank you so much for joining us today. It was been a really wonderful experience. I actually got the privilege of going down to UC Davis a few weeks ago and hanging out with these lovely ladies. I mean, note that all these beautiful women on this call today. But the campus is really unique and interesting, and the team has just worked so well together. It's been an absolute pleasure. So, and then, when we saw those first transactions come in, it was a joyful moment for HONK for sure. Do you guys have any final words that you want to say?
No, just thank you. You guys have been a great partner to us.
Yeah.
I know we have a very complicated system, and the attitude, number one, has been phenomenal. Not resistance, not we're gonna, oh, there's a fee for that, there's a fee for that. It's been, sure, we'll figure it out. 99% of the time, you guys, when we've come to you with a problem, you were able to figure it out, a way to make it happen. And I'm super
Even
grateful.
on Saturday morning.
Even-
Even on Saturday morning.
The rest of the crew's getting all the inside jokes here. But yes, for those of you who joined us today, thank you. We appreciate it. If you have any questions, please reach out to HONK. You can find myself, Mia, or reach out to UC Davis. We're all around to answer any questions you may have or discuss, other opportunities. Tyler, I'll hand it back to you now.
Wonderful. Thank you, Kacey. As we wrap up today's program, I'd like to extend a sincere thank you to HONK for hosting today's Learning Lab with the support from UC Davis. IPMI truly appreciates all of your support. And thank you to our audience for spending part of your day with us and engaging throughout the session. That concludes today's presentation. We look forward to seeing you at a future program. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone.
Everyone.
Thank you.
You.